Hey everyone, it's your boy Zero.
And I'm Nanners.
And we're recording this in post because we ran out of time at NYC Comic Con 2022.
That's right. We definitely ran out of time when we were shooting, obviously, at the convention. We did get a ton of B-roll. We had meant to do that fun, got a microphone, we're standing in front of something, we're talking about it, that news style from the event like we usually do because it's a lot of fun. But yeah, we weren't able to get around to do that. So we're here to talk about Comic-Con and our experience right now.
That's right. So we only had one day together, like Nanners said. We went on a Thursday. As a matter of fact, I have my Thursday ticket right over here. It's good to not see The Walking Dead anymore, I gotta tell you. Starting last year, they stopped doing that. You remember that crap, Nanners?
Oh yeah, I remember it. I hate it. It sucks that it took a pandemic for them to finally stop it, but I love seeing the new Comic-Con badges that do not have The Walking Dead on them. I will say though, I'm tired of them putting the sticker on the front because it's got all the glue left over, but I mean, look at this badge. It's so much nicer than the previous like 10 Comic-Cons before the pandemic.
And we're anime fans, and I also have a Saturday ticket, which is right here. You can see it has the Spy X family crew on the front. I also got this nice little ribbon for the new One Piece film that's coming out, One Piece Film Red. So I do like that they're leaning more into anime because, you know, anime does have its own like comic book scene called manga, and then comic books are still a thing there. Marvel is still a big thing at Comic-Con, so I think it's cool. It's a nice, refreshing take. I was getting really tired of The Walking Dead.
I think a lot of us were, yep.
So yeah, off the bat, I can tell you right now, I enjoyed Thursday. How about you, Nanners?
Yeah, I mean, not to spoil the review at the end, but I definitely enjoyed Thursday as well. It was the only day that I went because I didn't go for another day, but I decided why not do Thursday, as Thursday is usually the best option. It's kind of like the budget option because most people probably aren't going to take a Thursday off to just go to Comic-Con, and you'll end up always having probably the least people on Thursday. So despite how crowded it will get peaking on Saturday, you know, you'll actually be able to enjoy yourself. Maybe you'll get in line and get whatever it is that you're looking for. So I opted for Thursday. Zero followed along, and we both went and got to do a couple of things. Now, like I said, unfortunately, this was the only day that I went, but there was a lot different from last year, and I have a lot to say about that.
Likewise, I mean, first things first, it wasn't as empty as last year. There was definitely more people even on a Thursday, but it still felt nice. It wasn't shoulder to shoulder like it had been in previous years before the pandemic. This year we saw way more big name companies come into Comic-Con and actually show more of their stuff off. I was really happy to see Konami back because I was able to make myself into a card again, which was fun, obviously. And they even had a Studio Ghibli booth, which I went to, which was awesome. There was a lot of things to see and buy there. Obviously, One Piece was the anime to pay attention to at Comic-Con because it had a huge presence at its own booth at the Bandai booth, and then also at the Toei Animation booth. You remember those big ass blow up statues that they had for them, Nanners?
I do. I remember that.
So they had a blow up statue of the ship from One Piece, and they also had this ridiculously big blow up statue of Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece as well. And I'm talking about gigantic, like Titanic levels. It's huge.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive that they had that. I would be surprised if that was from like a Macy's Day Parade float. Like it could have definitely been because it was totally of the size. But yeah, I mean, they had a lot of good, you know, companies coming back for like bigger stuff like anime and comics, which was nice. I think one of the issues with the year prior was that, again, you have to consider it was the first Comic-Con back after the pandemic happened, but there really weren't as many big names. It still kind of felt that way. It still felt like we're in recovery mode, and it's not insanely, as it doesn't have that many big draws. It doesn't have a lot of stuff that's going to keep everybody until the end of the show floor. There was, I mean, again, like unlike previous years, pre-pandemic Comic-Cons, you you don't really have giant crowds beginning to end with the show floor. Like at the very end, things really kind of die down, and the con honestly felt like a ghost town. So it still had that recovery period feel to it. There were still big names missing. I don't know if Zero got around to getting to check out Capcom if they were there.
They
or
weren't.
not, but they were not.
They
there.
were not. They were not there.
Not. Okay, so there you go. They were not there, and sometimes like Nintendo would show up. Prior years, Square Enix used to have like tons of games set up, even though some of those games are already out, but they were there. But this year, there really wasn't any of that, which sucks for us too because we're gamers as well. But they did have a couple of cool things that we got though, which was nice.
Oh, absolutely. The first thing I want to get out of the way is over on the block, which is if you're facing the Javitz Center, it's all the way on the left side of the Javitz Center. They had a bunch of like smaller companies mixed in with bigger ones. So Nickelodeon had a booth there. They were showing off some SpongeBob stuff. eBay had a booth there somehow. I was kind of surprised. They were mainly focusing on pop figures. But the booth that caught my attention was Neopets. Nanners, did you ever use Neopets back in the day?
Yeah, I did.
So Neopets never really left. They still exist. You can go on their website and try to play their games, although Flash is a problem. But they're trying to upgrade and really modernize Neopets now. And one of the things they're doing is, well, they're releasing a cookbook. So this is the leaflet I got from the Neopets booth. Pre-order today for the Neopets official cookbook. I find it pretty amazing because as a kid, I played a lot of Neopets. Here's the backside. And I remember every day I would go over to the giant omelet and grab a piece of it. And it would always be a different kind of omelet, a bacon omelet, peas omelet, broccoli omelet, and cheese omelet and crap like that. And of course, there were other things as well, like burgers and weird looking burgers. I mean, the front thing of it has like these corn chips popping out from the bun. I find it pretty interesting. This is probably something I'm going to check out. Another thing that I got from the booth, I got a few things from the booth actually. They gave me a bunch of stickers. A lot of them were showing off the fairies from the Neopets universe. However, I gave those away to a friend that probably would have appreciated them more. But one thing I did get was a Neopets card. Now, those of you who played Neopets back in the day would recognize this character as Aisha, one of the Neopets you can get. Mm-hmm. And on the back, it has a brief description of the Neopet and what it can do and stuff. And it's actually being created by Upper Deck. I talked about Upper Deck in a previous Digimon video. Right. Apparently, they're working with Upper Deck to create new Neopets cards. Hopefully it turns into a card game because the previous card game for Neopets was quite fun. I enjoyed it. This is just a collectible card. So I found this interesting and I liked it. There were some pins you could get as well, but I didn't have the chance to get those.
So one of the things I like to kind of look at, not necessarily shop at, because I don't have tons of income and I also don't have any room for these things, but I always like that Bandai generally has a Gunpla booth at Comic-Con, and this year was no exception. I also really just like the aesthetic that they had this year because it felt very futuristic. It had these like cool neon lights on it. It just felt like you were almost inside of like a spaceship or something. It was very
It really did.
It looked really good. I did realize though that probably were able to show off way less Gunpla as a result because they weren't going to have as much space since it was such a kind of modern take. They weren't going to like stack the walls everywhere. They wanted to show off the nice decor they had. So they did get to show off less Gunpla, but it just felt almost like you were in like maybe a museum of sorts. Very cool, very futuristic, very nice theme for obviously a booth about Gunpla. They did have some cool stuff too. It was like mostly, from what I could tell, limited versions of stuff. So you had a lot of the clear Gunpla, which I was actually talking with Zero about there, that I don't really like the clear Gunpla. That's like a big trend For some reason, it's very popular. It doesn't appeal to me personally, but if you wanted that, that was a great place to get it, because you could get so many different franchise Gunplas you get so many series of Gunpla in that clear kind of transparent version, and a lot of like premium Bandai stuff. So it was nice to see. I was definitely happy to go check out some Gunpla, even though I didn't buy anything, but I was looking at it. I almost bought some Gunpla scissors, but I kind of decided against it last minute. But yeah, it was cool to see like the Gundam Wing stuff, the G Gundam stuff, the original. They even had like cool statues of some of the characters, like the characters that I remember from the shows, which was nice. As we know with anime figure statues, definitely very high budget. $240 for Char, so I passed on that, thankfully, but it was nice to see.
I remember you looking at a lot of those Gunplas, and I have to admit, I'm a sucker for the see-through plastic, especially if it's colored. As a 90s kid, we all coveted the Game Boy Color and its see-through plastic and stuff. Like, I'm gonna be 100% honest, but it didn't really look that good on a Gundam. So I have to agree with you there. It was it looked off. Right. I'd have to see something a little bit more high grade of that to maybe be like, you know what, maybe that'll work. Another thing about Gunpla, actually, and I don't know if you realize this, but at the Bandai booth, separated from the Gundam booth, they had a space where you can build Gunpla. Like, they had tables specifically for you to build them.
I think they actually did have that in years past. If I'm recalling correctly, I think they did have stuff like that, but it's cool to see it set up again. I think that's going to be for the crowd where somebody bought the Gunpla at the show and then they just kind of want to build it there. I guess it's kind of nice if you maybe want to like socialize while you do Gunpla. Is not a lot of opportunities to just sit around with people and just build Gunpla. I don't think so. That's pretty cool that they did that.
I agree. I mean, there's not a lot of places where people with similar interests get to meet up. It's hard to find a hobby shop that has the specific interest that you have. So again, having it at Comic-Con is amazing. You can make a lot of friends and maybe even have a whole friend group with it. Right next to the people that were building the Gunpla were people playing the Dragon Ball Super card game. So Nanners can vouch for me. I went in there, sat down, learned how to play it, and it's actually quite interesting. For anybody who's watching this video right now, if you ever played Magic the Gathering, think of that, and then just change the theme to Dragon Ball and make it more accessible, and that's basically what you have. And I enjoyed it, in all honesty. When you were done, they actually also gave you a Dragon Ball Super card game Zenkai series Z-Deck trial deck. I'm reading it off the freaking pamphlet right now, the envelope. And inside, which I'm opening for you guys right now, you get the trial deck, which I believe is only half a deck. In the front, you could actually see the character Trunks with another character right behind him called Tapion. For those of you who don't know who Tapion is, he's the guy who gave future Trunks his sword. So that's the sword Trunks uses. The name of this specific card is called Iron Vow Trunks, which is pretty cool. I haven't actually opened up the half deck, in all honesty. Here's the back. It has the 7 Dragon Balls and the name of the card game at the bottom. I was also given a couple of extra cards, and I believe playmats. So here we have Super Saiyan Blue Son Goku surmounting the impossible card. And it has a bunch of effects here on the bottom. As you can see here on the back, it probably has the instructions and the playmat. It's very interesting. Like I said, it works in a similar way to Magic the Gathering. You can use any card in your hand as summoning material, or should I say resource. There we go. As a resource to summon one of the Dragon Ball Z characters. And then you have life cards on the side that act as your life points. Once all of them are depleted, you're done. It's a pretty interesting game, and I like it. I'm not going to focus on the game, obviously. Digimon is still going to be my main focus, and then the Final Fantasy card game is fun. but I thought it was pretty cool to be able to sit down, learn with another person, and enjoy a series that both Nanners and I, in all honesty, enjoy. Dragon Ball is an awesome series.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there was some cool Dragon Ball Z stuff there too, with the boots. But yeah, I mean, I guess those are our favorite boots at the con. Why don't we talk about, or rather, show off some of the stuff that we got there?
Absolutely. So one of the first things I want to show off is actually this little figurine. On Saturday, my second day there, I was looking for stuff for friends and myself as well. And I found a booth in aisle 4000. I don't remember the name of the booth, unfortunately. Sorry, guys.
Aisle 4000. Guys.
So I was able to find some stuff for a friend, but then I also found little Digimon figurines. These people were selling 3 for $6, and my younger brother was with me that day, so he was off with his own friends at the time, and our buddy Oni was with us that day as well. And I decided, you know what? Let me get myself this little Greymon that you're seeing right now. Oh, dropped him. He's pretty awesome. I like the way that they designed him. It's kind of chibi-like and stuff. It's also pretty well colored, in all honesty. I got my younger brother a Gabumon little figurine, and then our buddy Oni, he loves Patamon, so I grabbed him one as well. That was really awesome. I enjoyed getting those.
One of the things that I got, which was really just a freebie, and again, I think another criticism of Comic-Con in recent years, even pre-pandemic, was kind of just going away from giving free stuff, which I understand they want to cut corners, or maybe some of the bigger booths see it that it's like it's more premium if like, oh, you have to do something to get this, or you have to already be subscribed, so that like gives people incentive to subscribe to Crunchyroll and Hulu or whatever. But free stuff is one of the coolest parts of Comic-Con, at least, you know, when I first started to go. When I originally went to Comic-Con, you would get like a bag when you came in, and it was full of stuff. It wasn't stuff that you knew or you already liked for the most part, but you get like a t-shirt, you get like a comic, you get all sorts of like pins and stuff. It was great. This time I got a free comic. It's called Forgotten Runes, Wizard's Cult. They just gave this to me at the beginning. I don't know anything about it, but the very first thing that happened when I walked into Comic-Con was someone handed me this, and I was like, all right, already off to a better start than previous year's Comic-Con. So definitely free stuff. I like that. You know, of course, they also had like a couple of other free things. Maybe Zero got something for free as well. So it's nice to see that you could still go to Comic-Con and come back home with like some free swag.
Absolutely. Most of the stuff I'm going to be showing off from now on, like most of the stuff, it was free stuff. And let's go to another one of the free things that I got. So Konami was there again, and they were showing off a lot of their mobile games and console games, which is basically just Yu-Gi-Oh! Different forms of Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed duels and stuff like that. They even had the physical card game there as well. They had a Comic-Con exclusive Yu-Gi-Oh! Playmat that showed off all of the God cards, all the God monsters. I nearly bought it, but I don't really take Yu-Gi-Oh! As seriously anymore. So instead, what I did was, I decided to try out speed duels. So you're seeing me hold up this Yu-Gi-Oh! Card, but it's actually a half deck for Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed duels. And speed dueling is basically just playing the regular card game, but with 3 zones only. 3 zones for monsters, 3 zones for spells and traps, and you also have a power-up or a character power-up card. This is very similar to how you play the game on the mobile app Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. The games last barely 10 to 15 minutes, which is really awesome because it's really fast-paced. You have less cards in a deck, and they're really not focusing on the ridiculous effects that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is known for today. They haven't even Speed Duels hasn't really necessarily caught up to where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is today. And that's a good thing because, again, I'm a fan of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a pain in the ass to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. I affectionately call it a one-player game because of how ridiculous the effects are, and if you don't get the right hand in turn 1, you pretty much are guaranteed to lose depending on who you're playing against. It's
I don't know anything about card games or Yu-Gi-Oh, but I definitely know that there's those effects have kind of ruined it a little bit, to at least to someone like, you know, wanting to come in and just play for fun. It's definitely not like it used to be back when I was younger.
not at all. And that's the frustrating part, but I'm still sort of a fan. I'll grab these. I have 2 of these as a matter of fact. And Nanners, if you want, I could show you how to play the speed duel because it's super quick and actually quite easy.
Sure. Yeah, we can make a video out of it. That sounds fine by me.
Indeed. Now, another thing that Konami was doing is they were making people into token Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I went ahead on both days and made myself into a token Yu-Gi-Oh card, standing right next to Kaiba, pointing my finger at him in an angry expression. I had my Parappa the Rapper hat on that day, on both days actually. And then I got a second one, this time just myself in front of a stadium, holding a different card from a different card game. I'll talk about that after Nanners is done talking about another one of his little freebies that he got.
Right. But before that, I want to interject real quick. So basically, when you have that card, it's basically just like a Yu-Gi-Oh card template, and then you're inside the picture, right?
That's correct. They put you in front of a green screen. They take the photo in whatever pose you want, and then you get to choose the background you want for the photo.
Right. Because as I used to be into Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger, and I definitely watched a lot of the show to a certain point. But I distinctly remember there being a time where they would like trap someone inside of a card, and you saw a picture of them like screaming for help, like they want to get out of the card. If I was there and I was doing that, I would definitely recreate that moment from the show by like panicking inside the card, like get me out of here. So, but that's pretty cool that they had that.
That's genius, actually. Next year, we're doing that. We're each creating a token Yu-Gi-Oh card. And by the way, these are legal to use. Token cards are perfect because if you remember the card Scapegoats that Joey Wheeler used to use, for those back in the day, I used to use pennies or quarters to symbolize them. Now I just use tokens of myself.
I think coming back to the free stuff at Comic-Con is cool. That takes it to a step further, because now you got something for free at Comic-Con. Maybe you just have to wait online, but you got something for free, and now it has value for you. It's like it has utility. You can use it like when you play Yu-Gi-Oh if you want to do that. So I think that's even cooler.
I've already used it for every year I go to every year I go to Comic-Con and Konami's there, I turn myself into a token. Every day that I go to Comic-Con because I get to use it. I've actually used them before. I think I have 7 now, when including these. So I'm gonna be switching them around, using them, interjecting them and stuff. And whenever I need a token, I'll just throw them out, and people will be like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me. I'm a card. There you go."
Nice. I regret not doing that now, and I'm definitely gonna do it next year.
Yeah, I'll drag you there. You'll be like, "Nah, I don't want to wait online." Yes, you do.
That's perfect. That's gonna fit the motif we're going for with the cards being trapped in them. And on to more free stuff at Comic-Con. So one of the things I kind of like seeing at conventions is, funny enough, other conventions. Basically, you know, like another convention is happening somewhere, and they'll have a booth. They have a couple of representatives from the event, maybe staffers, maybe organizers, and they'll be there to talk to you about the event. So I like doing that, especially since I'm so into all of these conventions, and I like to find out more, and I like to talk to people that actually run them. So I didn't see too much of that at Comic-Con this year, but there were 2 booths, really one booth with 2 featured exhibitors, and that was Katsucon, but I didn't really talk to Katsucon so much. There was also DerpyCon, which is an event that Zero and I will be attending for the first time at the end of this month, and they're very, very nice to talk to. I feel like probably talked to them longer, almost as long, or if not longer, than anyone else that we were talking to at the con. So it was cool to find out more about the show, and to also find out that despite being called DerpyCon, it has nothing to do with MLP. It's just a general convention for stuff like anime and comics and stuff in New Jersey. And one of the coolest things that I got at the con this year, actually we both got, was they were giving out previous year's badges.
Yeah.
So these are the 2016 DerpyCon badges. I guess they had a bunch of them left over, and I'm the type of person that any convention I go to, I save my badges and I just have a whole stash of them. So these have value to me, even though I didn't go there. It's cool to see that they were there, and they just had a stack of them and they were giving them out. So you have like all the different, they obviously had their theme for that year, and then you have the industry version, you have the weekend version, you have the press version, and you also have the guest version as well. So again, that was not something I was expecting, and it was really cool that they did. It was sweet that they did that. These are like little collector's items from previous years. So
I also grabbed one of their badges. I grabbed this orange one, the weekend badge, because I like the color scheme, and the drawing is nice. Yeah, talking to the people at DerpyCon was nice. They're very, very kind people, very talkative, very cool. I can't wait to go. The next booth I want to talk about, where I got free stuff from, was the Meta Zoo booth. So for those of you who don't know, Meta Zoo is another card game. Don't worry, I'm not getting into all these card games. I just wanted to check it out. So
he's lying.
So Meta Zoo is interesting because this is a card game that wants to go back to how card games used to look like back in the 90s and very late 80s, where all the art was hand-drawn and hand-colored. So when I flip this over, you're going to see exactly what I mean, because this art looks like how Pokemon art used to look like on the Pokemon cards. It attracted me to it, and I had to find out more about it. I knew Meta Zoo was a card game before going to Comic-Con this year, but I didn't know what they were about. So I had to check it out. This card is called Sewer Alligator. And the thing about Meta Zoo is that the game is based around not just its own lore, but also where you are in the world. So Nanners, you probably remember this in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially in Season 1. Whenever a monster gets played, depending on what part of the land the monster's played on, they get a power boost. Same thing with Meta Zoo, except it takes into account where you are in the world. So the Sewer Alligator gets a field power bonus if you're currently residing in a place called City. We're in New York City. So if I play him while in New York City, he gets a power boost. Automatically, and I think that's pretty freaking awesome. So if we leave New York City and maybe go to New Jersey and I play him, he wouldn't get the power boost. I'd have to play some sort of field card for that to work. Also, the art itself, I can't stop gushing over because it's awesome. This is a freaking yellow and white alligator eating pizza in the sewers in New York. I think it's freaking awesome, and we've all heard those freaking mythical legends of, oh my god, freaking alligators in the sewers in New York. Oh my god, they're there. Don't go in there. Like, as a kid, I heard that all the time. I thought it was awesome. The artist for this card actually signed it for me. You can see her signature right here. She was also really awesome to talk to, and unfortunately, they were only giving out single cards, so I couldn't get a trial deck. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly blast through some of the stuff that I've gotten, some of the other stuff that I've gotten at Comic-Con. So, of course, comic books / manga is a big thing there. So they were giving out this awesome manga sampler 2022 from Viz Media. It's pretty cool. So when you open it up, you get to read like little excerpts or like little short stories from different mangas and stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool. I went and grabbed it. I haven't read through it, but it's definitely something I'm going to be checking out every once in a while. I think it's pretty awesome. The next thing I wanted to show off is another card game. Yes, it's a lot of card games for me. For those of you who are fans of My Hero Academia, they now have their own card game, believe it or not. So this is yeah, they do. So everything's becoming a card game these days. I don't know why. So My Hero Academia has their own card game. Here's the trial deck for that one. The funny thing is, though, the card game is called My Hero Academia collectible card game, but the back of the deck says universes. I don't know if that's correct or if this is just how it is, but whatever. The card game is interesting. It doesn't work. It has elements of other card games, but I call this card game a mess. Because if you look at Deku over here, you see that he has a number on the top left and a number at the bottom right. If I wanted to play him, I'd have to throw him down and then look at the top card of my deck and then see if the top left card of the card I played matches the card I picked up from the top of my deck at the bottom right. If they don't match, I need to have resource cards on the field to tap in order to pay for his play. I could play up to 10 cards, and every extra card gets an extra point added to the top left play cost over here. It's a little bit of a mess. Attacking is also a little bit of a mess because there's high, mid, and low like in a fighting game, and you have to match the attack. If it's high, you have to match it with a blocking high, which you can see over here because there's a shield icon over here. Let me see if I can get that looking good. It's a little bit of a mess. I didn't necessarily enjoy it that much, but I do like collecting cards. On my second day there, I was able to get this awesome pack for the My Hero Academia collectible card game. I opened it just now because my younger brother was visiting me and we were talking about Comic-Con. We opened it together. And the card I got was Mina Ashido, a holographic card for the card game. I'm assuming she's rare, so I put her in a hard plastic case. And that same day, I got 2 more cards. With Mina, I went and put Tenya Ida. I put him in the hard plastic case. And then, of course, I have Endeavor over here. So these are pretty cool. The art, again, looks amazing. I like it. It's all anime art. I thought it was pretty cool. And now I wanted to also mention a gift that I got. It was paid for, but it was free for me, so I'm putting it in here. Pin Club likes to have a booth at Comic-Con and Anime NYC. I actually got some pins from them before. And this year they had a lot of amazing anime pins. One of them being Digimon. So I've been watching Digimon with a lot of my friends every Friday night. We watched all through season 1 and we're watching through season 4. And my friend Mark knows that my favorite characters are Tai and Agumon from season 1. So he got me Pin Club pins from their booth. And here they are. You have Agumon in an awesome stance. You have Tai over here pointing. That's his signature stance and stuff. I think it's awesome. I'm going to put these on my lanyard when I go to Anime NYC because they're just awesome. Thank you, Mark, for the gift. I really appreciate it, bro. And now the last thing I'm going to show off. Yes, another card game. You guys are probably tired of it. First, I'm going to show off this awesome bandana I got at the Bandai booth. They were showing off One Piece film Red. So here's a nice little bandana, all in red, that you can put on your head if you want to and tie it up and stuff. I don't know how to tie it up in a pirate form. I don't know. It's pretty cool for anyone who likes having bandanas. These are pretty cool. So I'm glad I got it. And they were also showing off the One Piece card game. So of course I had to check it out. Bandai has been killing it with these card games. Here we have the trial deck for the One Piece card game. It brings a play field, instructions, and of course half a deck. I played it and it's extremely similar to Magic the Gathering. For those of you who ever played Magic the Gathering, you'll know the frustration of mana drain, which is where you can't draw your resource cards or enough of them in order to play the game, which makes you lose. The creators of the One Piece card game basically said, you know what? We're going to make this extremely similar to Magic, and we're going to make a separate deck for your resources. So you draw 1 card from your normal deck, and you get 2 cards from your resource deck. So no one ever has to experience mana drain in this game at all. I think that's awesome. They're also used for more than just resource, which is incredibly intelligent. They really put a lot of thought into this card game. And with this, they gave us a promotional pack. Promotional pack 2022. Once again, my brother's a big fan of One Piece, so him and I opened this together, but you guys get to see what's inside this pack as well. So let me go ahead and move these out. So here we have 5 promotional cards. The first one is Monkey D. Luffy. He has a power of 7,000, and he costs 6 to play. Next we have I would call this more like a spell card. Only costs 1 to play. It's called I Smell Adventure Ahead. So here we have a manga excerpt with an image of Luffy again, with the text saying I smell adventure ahead. Funny enough. Next one is going to be Eustace Captain Kid, a green colored card for the card game, and he costs 3 to play with 4,000 power. Second to last is Crocodile, 5,000 power blue card for resources to play. He's also a blocker. And last but not least, we have Kaido. He looks like a villain to me. I haven't really watched the anime in a while. Costs 7 to play, 8,000 power, and he has some effects on him, as you can see here. Again, I like anime card games. I don't know why. They just seem to work really, really well. I'm hoping these promotional cards are worth something, because I'm going to keep them nice and safe. And yeah, that's about it. Here's the back of the card. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a compass. And yeah, that's all the free stuff I got.
Yeah, I got one more free thing. It was actually outside of Comic-Con. And so around events like Comic-Con, you'll tend to see kind of after parties, or sort of like little pop-up events that are related, that they're kind of, inviting people to come from Comic-Con, although not necessarily affiliated with Comic-Con. So you could think like one of the bigger ones is like Sonic Boombox. But I went to a different one that's run by the same group that does PuchiCon. We didn't do a PuchiCon video because I only went there, and I only went there for a day, but that was a cool event too. And this was kind of tucked away in Jersey a bit. It was at this kind of bar with like a really chill environment, and I had a lot of fun there. What they had planned for the evening was essentially like they brought someone from New York Comic Con out there, essentially one of the exhibitors, and I'm sorry if I don't have their names. I'm sorry if I don't. I can't really tell you too much about what they do, but they're into board games and kind of like tabletop stuff. So the idea was that they were going to do Dungeons and Dragons. Now, because of supply issues, we didn't have the dice. We didn't end up doing Dungeons and Dragons, which I think is okay, because that probably would have been too much of an investment anyway. Instead, we sat around and we just played Werewolf, which I never played Werewolf. I don't know if you've ever played Werewolf Zero.
Never even heard of it.
It's basically like pen and paper Among Us, essentially. It's literally just the origin. It's literally a deception game before they got like super popular with stuff like Among Us, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. Honestly, I wouldn't mind playing Werewolf again, because it was a pretty cool experience. I definitely like it a little bit better than Among Us, because you just do it in person with people, and all you need is like a piece of paper. Anyway, so they were there, and we were just kind of hanging out doing that, and at the end we got free t-shirts too. So the shirt that I'm currently wearing, it says Tog at it's backwards for me. Etavar. It says Tog Adavar Ascension, and again, I don't really know too much about them, but I thought that was pretty cool that they would bring someone out like to their after party to do that. I'd also wanted to go to the Sonic Boombox after party as well. I've heard that those are great options to check out. So again, it's cool. It's cool that there's stuff that you could do related to Comic-Con that's outside of Comic-Con as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I didn't do any of that stuff. I remember I spent most of my time at the arcade down there, which was pretty cool.
So now we're going to kind of move on from some of the free stuff that we got at the con to some of the stuff that was to be paid for. And I certainly hope that everyone pays for this. You should definitely give this man lots of money. But I got Monkey and Peach Volume 2, which is from our friend Hamling Art. I got the first volume, I think Anime NYC last year. And I was there, and I was like, oh, that's right, Volume 2 came out. And I think honestly, if I just go to his booth, every time I'm just gonna get the next issue. So I'm excited to get to read it. It's nice and thick too. It has, of course, it's done by Ham, so it's got amazing, beautiful art on the front and inside of it too. So definitely shout outs to Hamling. It was great to see and talk to him as well. And yeah, this is one of the things I was really happy to purchase at the con.
I actually want to expand on that because Ham has also been adding some cool little features onto his art and even his manga. So Nanners over here got the regular cover for the Monkey and Peach manga. However, there was a special cover that had gold lining around it and different art, which I don't know about you, Nanners, but that is my crack. I love seeing that reflective gold stuff on it. I like the shiny. He also printed new posters with gold lining on it, focusing on the characters from Arcadia, that show that's focusing on the characters from League of Legends. So,
you mean Arcane?
Arcane. Sorry, I said Arcadia. Sorry about that. But yes, so he's been adding gold lining to some of his posters. I nearly caved and got one, but I literally don't have room for posters. If I did, it'd probably go above the TV, and I kind of don't want posters there anyway. But yeah, his art is only getting better and better, and he's adding new things to it. He's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, for real. It was great to see him there, and I always want to make sure that we support our friends. And it's so cool that one of our friends basically always has a booth at Comic-Con and Anime NYC. So if we're there, we definitely want to go check him out, support him. And yeah, like I said, I didn't get volume 2 because I guess just kind of got lost in the sauce for me over the course of the year. But being there, I was like, oh yeah, volume 2, like, I'm getting it. It wasn't even a question. And even if I didn't get this, just like Zero said, there was tons of great stickers, tons of great posters, and other things that you could have gotten from him at his booth as well.
Absolutely. I do, by the way, Nanners, when we go to Anime NYC, I have a second artist friend. Him and I took art classes together as well. So hopefully we'll have a chance to interview him when we go to Anime NYC, because we've interviewed Ham a ton. We should probably give this other friend of mine a little bit of attention as well.
Totally, yeah. So yeah, of course, we have comics, we have anime, big kind of movies and stuff are covered at Comic-Con. But there's something that always, of course, Zero and I, running a gaming channel, we're looking for, and that's gaming. We always want to see what amount of gaming we can experience at New York Comic Con. It's not always there in great capacity, but it is there. This year, however, what I particularly liked better was the fact that there was an arcade. First of all, it was put together by, I believe they're called Psychic Drive.
That's right.
They're dope. I got some merch from them. They weren't selling it there, but I noticed on one of the cabinets that it was just advertised some of their merch you could get on their website. So I was like, oh my god, I'm getting this. And it was nice to see. This is first time that first time that New York Comic Con has video games in a capacity such as an arcade. It wasn't a huge arcade space, but it was there. And they had Sound Voltex, they had Candy Cabs, the Sega Arcade City cabs. So that was dope. It was really cool. It was a great way to spend some time. And honestly, like, if you kind of just felt like you've done a lot on the show floor, you didn't really have any panels to check out, great place to go and just chill out, hang out. So that was really cool. Now on the show floor itself, me and Zero kind of noticed something. It felt like they took the video game aspect of New York Comic Con and they shoved it on the show floor to like the westmost part, or I'm sorry, the eastmost part, if you're again looking at
north.
The Javitz
Well,
Center.
actually, it's north. If we're actually talking about like where
Right.
it is, yeah, it's more. It was more on the north end. Which,
But
if you're looking at the Javitz Center, that would be to your right.
Right, but if you're looking at the Javitz Center from 10th Avenue, it would be, like Zero said, the right side, the easternmost part. And that area typically has been where the comics in Comic-Con really go. Like, usually all you'll find there is a lot of comic shops or just people that are there to just collect or trade or sell, like, rare versions of comics or just the stuff from their collection that they had that they wanted to sell. and it tends to be kind of a low traffic area. But this year, what they did in that side was they put the gaming area that they added from last year, which was a bunch of PCs that you could just play random stuff, or like consoles or whatever. They put that there. They put a couple of video game vendors, and we kind of felt like, man, they really just shuffled the gaming to the side a bit, like pushed it away into this less traffic area. Maybe it could have been a smart move to get some more people over there, but on the other hand, it just felt like you kind of feel bad for the vendors that were stuck on that side. So I don't really know how I felt about that one.
I thought it was a pretty bad idea, but then again, what Comic-Con had tried to do was pretty dumb. One of the things about a convention is you want to do things with new people. So setting up an area where it's just a bunch of PCs and you could only go there with like friends and then play with them, that's not really what you should be doing. It should be more of like a free play area. You know, like you have to check your bag or whatever so you don't steal anything. And then just let people wander around and be like, oh, I see you're playing this racing game or this fighting game or whatever. Can I join you? Can I, you know, kind of like an arcade style, which is why I think Psychic Drive gets it. They actually put arcade cabinets. You sit next to the person, be like, yo, I'm gonna fight you, or I'm gonna play with you, or we're doing this together. Instead of like, yeah, here's your controller, go play over there.
Yeah.
Like you don't really get that same energy or something.
Oh yeah, 100%. When I'm comparing the two, I would say that Psychic Drive was way better than that gaming area they had on the show floor, like bar none.
Absolutely. But at the very least, we knew where to find the gaming stuff. So it kind of worked and then kind of didn't, because if you didn't find it, you wouldn't know it was there. Same thing with the arcade, as a matter of fact, because it was stuck 2 floors down and all the way towards the south. So yeah, they had a really bad way of planning the show floor and everything else. Like they didn't really put any signs saying, any big signs showing you where to go to find all the gaming stuff. You just had to kind of stumble upon it.
Yeah. Some signage could have definitely helped. I think, again, it really hurts some of those vendors, because the highest traffic area is always going to be where the 2 big doors are. The part to the eastmost, you get up there with escalators only, and it's just not very high traffic. It's not conducive to like really getting a lot of people out to your booth. So I definitely feel bad for having a couple of cool vendors, because there were several of them over there that just got stuck to that side. But I mean, I guess that's what you also, in like the pre-pandemic era Comic-Con, I felt like that was kind of a bad move, because you're spreading yourself even more thin, whereas you probably would just want to maybe even, dare I say, use a little bit less of the show floor, just to kind of pack it in a little bit nicer, as opposed to having a huge space with just a lot of dead zones. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how they did it. I think maybe they were trying to get more traffic out throughout the whole show floor, but maybe to an extent it worked, maybe it didn't, who knows. Yeah, I definitely felt kind of bad for them. And that aside though, what we could definitely say is they did have some cool vendors over there. We actually got to catch up with Video Games New York.
That's right.
We had interviewed Video Games New York on a previous video. It was either Comic-Con or Anime NYC. We're actually talking about maybe doing some other content with them. But yeah, whenever I see Video Games New York at a convention, I certainly want to make sure to check them out. And we did get some games.
Indeed, we did. Nanners and I like collecting physical games. So they have a bunch of indie games available in physical form. And I went ahead and teamed up with Nanners to get their special little deal. So you buy 2 games. Well, you spend, it was $60 or more, and then you have a chance to enter like the little raffle.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple games that I probably would have liked, but I went with this indie game called Shing, created by Pixel Heart. And it's a weapons-based side-scroller beat-em-up game. We like our beat-em-ups on this channel. The way the guy at the booth described it was, it's similar to Turtles in Time, but mainly focusing on the weapons, of course. It's 3D animated and stuff like that. It looks fast-paced. It looks like fun. I watched the trailer. You guys are going to be seeing some of that trailer here in the video too. You can play 1 to 4 people, either physically, or I believe you could also play it online. I gotta double check that. I'm not sure if that's true. Don't take my word. And I think these are also limited edition, as it says right here on the sticker for the cover, Pixel Heart Limited. So I think that's pretty awesome. I can't wait to try this game out. I haven't had a chance, but I'm happy to have another physical game for my Switch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, we talked to Dan so much about this because he was there representing the booth. Now, at some point, and I'm sorry if I don't know the exact chronology of this, but Video Games New York started working on a project called VG Soft, or you can see VGNY Soft, so Video Games New York Software. Essentially, they're becoming a publisher, and they're helping publish all these cool indie games so that they can get physical copies too. We talked to him as well for quite a bit of time. We got to learn a lot about stuff about how ratings boards work, of all things. So that was very informative. That was really fun. The way that the booths tend to work now when Video Games New York is at a con is that you'll have the Video Games New York store that has like tons of Japanese imports like PS Vita, gamer merch, consoles and stuff on one half, and on the other half they have all the VGNY Soft games. So of course we're there. They actually publish a lot of really cool games, and the one that I got is called Wallachia, The Reign of Dracula. So right off the bat, I mean, if you just look at the cover, you can pretty much see the reason why I got it. It's a side-scrolling game that has themes of similar to Castlevania, and again, I was looking at a couple of the other games because they have a cool selection, but Zero's like, check this one out. I think you might like it. And if you look at the very back, it even says here that there is an exclusive bonus content from Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. So they were even able to get the Bloodstained developer, who's actually the creator of, he's like the most important part of Castlevania because he went on to do Symphony of the Night. They got a piece of his new project, Bloodstained, into this game, so I didn't get to play yet, but I'm very excited to do so. I'll probably stream this a little bit towards the end of the month, since it's kind of like a horror-esque themed game. I'm very excited for, as I said, I do like side scrollers, so it was cool to just see the variety of games that were available from this publisher. So as again, side scrollers, we had beat 'em ups. They have kind of like sort of visual-esque novel, like, you know, pick your route story kind of games. So you can find all sorts of stuff, and again, it was a really cool time chatting with them. Shame that they were kind of tucked away to the side. Usually Video Games New York does have like a more central part of the show floor, but I'm glad that they got to be there, and I certainly am glad that we also got to support them and support some cool indie devs in the process.
Absolutely. It's always a treat to see a bunch of indie games getting the physical treatment, getting the attention they deserve, because as an artist, as creatives, the both of us, one thing that's frustrating, not just for us but for others, is the fact that you try to create something that's awesome, you put your heart and soul into it, and then because of some dumb reason or another, it doesn't get any attention, either because you were unlucky or because it was like your art or your work was put over to the side where it doesn't get as much attention, even though you're positive, oh my god, I know people will like this if they try it, holy shit. So I'd like the fact that a popular video game store like Video Games New York is putting these up front and center and showing everyone, hey, look at these games, you're gonna like them. I had the same like when I told Nanners, check out this game, this Castlevania like game, I said he needs to, because if he misses this and he notices it later, he's gonna kick himself, and I can't let him do that.
Yep, and I got the 111th version of 5000. It says it right there.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. The limited edition. Let's go. And there's one last thing I wanted to mention that I bought at Comic-Con. So my younger brother, he's not the biggest Star Wars fan, but he has a bunch of friends that are. and they all got themselves a bunch of lightsabers and awesome freaking cool cosplays and stuff. He joins them for that. And there's this booth at Comic-Con called Ultra Sabers. They sell more professional looking lightsabers, not those plastic ones you get at Toys R Us or Walmart or whatever. He got himself a blind box a couple years ago, and the blind box costs around $70. But he ended up getting lucky. He got a really nice hilt, which sound effects, and a green colored saber. When he showed it off to me, I kind of lost it because it looks really awesome. That lightsaber is amazing. And this year I was there with him on Saturday with his friends, and he told me, "Hey, my friends are doing the blind box again. Do you want to join them?" So I said, "You know what? Why not? Let me go ahead and try the blind box." So here's the hilt. This is the exact same hilt my brother got, funny enough. It was a blind box. I don't know how it happened. The universe just decided, hey, let's give Zero the same hilt as his younger brother. No sound effects though. It's just the hilt. It's really well built. I think it's made out of like really strong aluminum. It feels nice and metallic and heavy. Here's the button to turn it on. And initially the color that I got was red, which means Sith Lord. I'm not a Sith. I wanted a different color, obviously. My younger brother, having seen me not like the color, he said, "You know what? Let me help pay for that a different color." To do that, they have to deconstruct the entire freaking hilt to change the color for some reason.
Wow.
But I went and changed it, and I got an awesome orange color for my lightsaber. Not a color you see often in the Star Wars universe. I went and checked online with our friend Oni, who was there with me because he has his own lightsaber. And apparently orange is not only a rare color, but it's only used by those that are pure of heart and really like for justice and stuff like that. So I didn't know that when I chose the orange color, but now I'm really happy that I have it. It also matches with our freaking channel because we use a lot of orange in our channel. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Nanners, when I see you next, I'm gonna have you hold it because this hilt is just so, oh my god, it feels good. It feels official, man. I just wish I had sound effects, but whatever. Let me turn this thing off.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I never in a million years would have said that you would get a lightsaber, but again, that's just kind of one of the beauty of New York Comic Con is, like us, there's tons of variety. You can get a little bit of everything that that's related to pop culture or geek culture at New York Comic Con. So you wanted a lightsaber, they were there for you to get. That's pretty dope.
Absolutely. And talking about getting a little bit of what you're looking for at Comic-Con, let's finish off strong with the video games that we played at Comic-Con.
But yeah, we also got to play some video games at New York Comic Con, in addition to buying some games and obviously wanting to see some more games at New York Comic Con and the wonderful arcade that Psychic Drive had down there. But we got to play some games. So first up, from the VGNY Soft booth, there was a beautiful 2-controller Dreamcast setup for a game called Shadow Gangs. Now, my guess is that this is a more recent kind of Sega Dreamcast game.
It definitely is. It is.
For the Dreamcast, yeah. Someone made it for the Dreamcast with today's technology today as opposed to back in the day. So it was pretty cool to see. It was kind of in the same vein of, we were told, Contra. I could definitely see a bit of Contra. I guess the first time that you look at it, I initially thought it was a beat 'em up, which it kind of was, but again, it's with guns, so it's closer to that Contra feel. It definitely had strong resemblance to Double Dragon in terms of the art, a little bit Ninja Gaiden with some of like the weird movement, or Contra with some of the weird movement, but I liked it. It definitely, there's definitely some mechanics that you have to get used to it, but I would totally be down to play that. I think it's available on Steam as well. A lot of those games were, as I recall our conversation, so I'll definitely be picking up Shadow Gangs. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I just didn't really like playing it on the Dreamcast controller because I don't like the Dreamcast controller, but I did enjoy my time playing that.
I gotta second you on that, Nanners. Shadow Gangs was pretty fun. Again, it is more like Contra than it is like a regular side-scroller beat 'em up. They start you off as just a regular guy with shurikens, throwing stars. And it's kind of weird because they make you use the trigger button on the Dreamcast controller to shoot it. So you're just there trying to figure out like, oh my god, I'm being beaten up, or these guys are getting close to me and they're shooting me or whatever. So you have to kind of duck and weave and like throw your throwing stars or shurikens as quick as you can before they get to you. Later on, you do get more weapons, so you get an Uzi, you get maybe a shotgun or something like that. The art is more, like Nanner said, it's developed, more recently, like in the last couple of years. So you're gonna see more detailed art on it. It's crisp. They do have physical versions available for you to buy. The Dreamcast was extremely easy to hack, and since Sega isn't supporting freaking physical media anymore, when it comes to consoles at the very least, no one really cares if you release games for it. So it's pretty awesome. If you still have a working Dreamcast, check out VGNY Soft and maybe pick up Shadow Gangs, because it'll be a nice little way to dust off your Dreamcast. And yes, the memory unit does have a little icon on it when you play it. So if you throw in a working memory unit into the controller, you see the Shadow Gangs logo on it.
Yep. And again, you can actually you can buy a physical version of it for the Dreamcast. So not necessarily Switch, or like you could buy it on Steam. You can get it for a Dreamcast if you have one, and it'd be able to play it. Then you can play it on original hardware. So that's a modern game, folks. That's pretty good as it gets.
Indeed it is. Now, we did get to try out another game, but this time only Nanners got to play it. This one is called Overdriven. Nanners, tell us about it.
Well, I'm not very good at bullet hells. I think a lot of people aren't. It was a lot of stuff going on the screen at the same time. I like the idea of bullet hells, but it was okay. Like, again, as far as that genre, I can't really compare it to other stuff because I don't play a lot of them, but it was hard as hell. So if you like that difficulty in your bullet hell, that's the bullet hell indie game from VGNY Soft for you. I can say that much. I played it for a little bit, and again, I mean, I would be down to play another time. It's not particularly my cup of tea, that gameplay.
Yeah, I was watching you play it and seeing you get a little bit frustrated. It is kind of frustrating. Bullet hell is also known as shoot 'em up or shmup. It's a genre of games that a lot of people like. So I found it pretty interesting that not only did they have physical versions of like side-scroller beat 'em ups and stuff like that, or side-scroller platformers or Castlevania-like games, but also a lot of shoot 'em ups. And Overdriven was a collection of a bunch of them. And like Nanner said, it's just bullet hell. There's just a bunch of bullets coming at you all at once. You have to freaking use your power-ups to destroy them, use your shield to block them, or just simply dodge them and then try to shoot the enemy. If you don't like that kind of frustrating thing, it might not be for you. But at least if you do like that, you have a physical version of it you can have with you on your Switch, which you can take with you anywhere.
And we did also get to play 2 other games as well that they were showing off at the convention. Zero, you want to talk about yours first?
That's right. So right next to where I tried the Dragon Ball Z card game, they were showing off Dragon Ball The Breakers. Now, Nanners and I have played some Dragon Ball games in the past. We even showed off Dragon Ball Fighters Z, which is pretty fun. It's an awesome fighting game. They've been keeping up with it and adding more characters. I think it's amazing. However, this time they decided to go a different route. This is not a fighting game. This is a survival sort of horror game. It's not really horror-like, but it's more of like a survival game. So you have 7 players, and one of those players is the villain. So if you ever played Dead by Daylight, you'll know what you're getting yourself into, except in the Dragon Ball universe. So in this demo, they had either Frieza or Cell. You had to, the villain had to be one of those two, and the rest of the players are just regular people in the Dragon Ball universe. You don't have any superpowers. You don't turn Super Saiyan. You don't do shit other than run and try to survive. Now, as the villain, you have to track down these people and kill them or absorb them, if you're Cell, before the timer runs out. The way that the regular players win, if you're playing against Cell, is fuel up the time machine, and one of them, just one of them, has to travel back in time and prevent Cell from ever existing. I played as Cell as the villain, and I lost because I could not track these people. They were hiding. And it was really frustrating because you start from his larval state right up until he becomes a full-fledged perfect Cell. And it takes a while to become perfect Cell. So you have to absorb NPCs while also tracking down and absorbing the actual players. And another awesome thing is there are points in time where you can destroy certain parts of the map. So like if there's like 5 sections, A, B, C, D, E or whatever, and you get to choose, all right, this section has a lot of resources, I'm just gonna blow that up, and it's now unusable. Right. So I found that to be pretty interesting. If you're caught in the blast, you're dead. If you're the regular person, you're caught in the blast, you're gone. You're warned that it's gonna get blown up, so you're given a timer as to how long you have to leave. And I found that to be pretty amazing. I also got to play as one of the civilians, and I gotta tell you, you can see in the footage, it is scary because you're told through your heartbeat sound effect how close the villain is. And it brings on a lot of anxiety. And you have to search for these resources, you have to find your way around the map because you don't really know where everything is. You could also summon the dragon if you get all 7 Dragon Balls, but in any of the times I played, it never happened. So it was a lot of fun. I gotta say, I was very skeptical of Dragon Ball The Breakers, but I'm not skeptical anymore. I gotta be honest. That might be a game I'm willing to try. Maybe not play for real. Maybe I'll get it at a discount shortly after it's released and after some time has passed. But I think it's a lot of fun, and I think a lot of friends would like to get together and play that game because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely not what I was expecting from a Dragon Ball Z game. It's cool to see that IP has gone through so many different kinds of games for Dragon Ball. So you have a fighting game. There was Kakarot, which is closer to kind of more of like an RPG adventure game, action adventure game, and yeah, now we get a Dead by Daylight type of game. So it's definitely interesting to see. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed watching you play it because it was pretty cool to see all the different perspectives. And for me, the other big anime game that had a playable demo that was being promoted at New York Comic Con this year was One Piece Odessey. I don't know much about One Piece. I know even less about One Piece than I do about Dragon Ball Z, but I certainly wanted to give it a shot since it was there. We didn't even have to wait online because, as I said, towards the end of the day, the last 2 cons for New York Comic Con gets kind of loose towards the end of the show floor, so we literally just waltzed on in. I'm sorry for anyone that had to wait because we just waltzed in, and playing it felt similar to Dragon Quest, sort of kind of RPG, maybe Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry if that's not a great comparison, but I'm trying to find a good example of what that plays like, because usually I don't play RPGs that are similar to that. Maybe Ni no Kuni, but basically it's an RPG. It is turn-based, but it's not in the old days of turn-based where you just have 4 characters that stand opposing another 1 to 4 characters, and they each take turns going down a line in like this boring fashion. You have like your team is sectioned off sometimes, but they're all standing in different parts. It's a little bit more dynamic than that. You have tons of different options for what you can do in terms of attacks. They have a mechanic that's similar to Persona, where if you do this attack versus a character, it'll tell you that that's going to be like a super effective attack because it's weak. So it does end up, assisting you. It doesn't give you another turn like it does in Persona, but I couldn't help but think of Persona with that because, well, again, it's just right there in your face telling you this is the attack you should do because that enemy is weak to this. So again, it's an RPG. It was okay. when I first played it, it kind of felt like Jump Force. So it felt very similar to Jump Force in how it looks, how the camera is kind of moving around. It honestly just looks like it was straight borrowed from Jump Force. Maybe they just took that engine, ran with it, and turned it into an RPG. I'm sure One Piece fans will like it. I'm sure maybe fans of series like Dragon Quest or Kingdom Hearts no Kuni can casually enjoy it. But I thought it was just okay. It was fine. Again, maybe I needed to be more of a One Piece fan to enjoy it more. It was cool for it to be there. I do like RPGs. I don't think I'm gonna pick it up again, but maybe somebody else would really enjoy that. So yeah, One Piece Odyssey, that was the other game that I got to try at New York Comic Con.
Alrighty, everyone. So that kind of does it for our experience at Comic Con, and I gotta say, it was definitely different from last year.
Yeah, definitely different from last year. We can both agree on that.
So I think it's now time for our verdicts for this convention. Nanners, do you feel ready for this, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, no, I'll go first. So yeah, again, there's a lot of stuff that has to get factored into this review. You know, the pandemic really messed up a lot of stuff for the events industry. So there was no Comic-Con for 2020. Just didn't happen. In 2021, we finally got to go back to the Javitz Center for New York Comic-Con, and it felt budget. It felt a lot lower, kind of. It felt like it didn't have as many draws. It just didn't feel as good overall as previous years. That being said, on the flip side of that, because Comic-Con was generally a convention that was you're crammed there like sardines, it had the flip side of actually being kind of walkable, kind of enjoyable to just be at and be, you know, despite having like not as many draws, you kind of just had a cool place to hang out. So there's different ways to look at it. I think when I'm looking back at Comic-Con from 2021 versus Comic-Con versus 2022, I want to see, well, okay, so that was the first step. There was probably going to be some mistakes. There was definitely some stuff maybe behind the scenes we don't know about that didn't go right. There was definitely a lot of stuff that had to be cut because of the circumstances with the global pandemic. Well, what have they done since that time? And what improvements have been made since 2022? And I actually feel like I'm mixed on this. I think some things were improved quite a bit, and I also think that some things weren't improved as much. So I'm thinking specifically about that arcade, because that arcade was great. I've just been such a fan lately of going to conventions, Colossal Con, Pucci Con, all these cons that just happen to have a dope arcade. Just immediately makes it such a better experience for myself, because I'm not thinking so much about what am I buying, what am I paying for, how many of these are still available in stock, you know, how long is this line that I have to wait on. I'm kind of just hanging out at the arcade, and I don't get to do that experience. So that's what these conventions offer us. So definitely huge plus that they did that. I really want them to keep doing that. I think it's just there as a band-aid for now until it becomes the big, you know, Marvel movies, cinematic universe, David Schwimmer kind of convention that it would, like pop culture con that it used to be, you know. Until that point, we'll probably can still expect that we'll have really cool stuff like Psychic Drive, but man, I really want them to keep the arcade. I love that it was there, and I want to see more of it going forward. In fact, I want to see it expand to be even bigger, could even have just its own section. Now, on the flip side, what I felt like they didn't really do as good was, as I was mentioning before, I felt like they kind of shuffled the gaming section to the side. I don't think that they managed the convention show floor as well as they could have, given how there will be less people than previous years. There will be less big name exhibitors. At that point, you might as well just put it towards the front. Maybe the gaming section with the PCs, that wasn't going so well because apparently the internet wasn't working. Whatever, that could stay to that east corner, that's fine. But like the video games New York guys, some of the other cool vendors that were there pushed towards the east, I mean, at least put them in the block or put them closer to that prime real estate where those giant doors are the first thing, like huge crowd of people comes in and they want to have like a lot of cool stuff to go check out. I thought it really just wasn't fair to stuff them to the side. So I think they mismanaged the show floor a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so it's really hard for me to kind of come up with a verdict for this one, because those are the two things that stood out to me the most, aside from just having more like free stuff. But I would say that in general, like if I just have to paint a broad stroke and just make a decision, I think it's a step in the right direction. When last year was a step in the right direction, I said that about last year, that it was good that we had this, and although it was felt kind of held back because of the pandemic, it was still like a little light at the end of the tunnel, like, oh, this convention is gonna stick around and we'll get to enjoy it more. I think that this year they added on top of that. Again, especially with the arcade, I would say that they improved it from last year, and that's a good thing. If the sequel improves, then it's a good sequel. So as far as I'm concerned, I would give this year's Comic-Con 4.5 Sega Blast City candy cabs out of 5. That's my verdict.
Most excellent. Nanners, we seem to be in sync when we think about these conventions and our opinions on them. But let me elaborate on what it is, what leads to my verdict. So Comic-Con last year, we explained how awesome it was that we get to go to a convention again, and how awesome it was that it was actually walkable. It wasn't shoulder to shoulder. It wasn't just people pushing each other or standing in line for an hour and a half to 2 hours to get one small free thing or see a preview of something. It wasn't that, and I don't think it's going to be like that for a while, which I'm excited about. In comparison to last year, there was way more to do. The convention was not as empty as it was last year. Some of the big names did come back. Bandai was there with a vengeance. Let's be 100% honest. They were there to take over Comic-Con. They didn't just have one booth. They had a presence at the freaking toy animation booth. They had their own Gundam booth. They had a booth for Dragon Ball Super and One Piece Red, the film. And then also the One Piece Odessey game had its own booth right next to the Konami booth. I mean, they took up so much real estate there, and you know what? I think it was awesome that they did, because we had so much stuff to do there. And that's not even mentioning all the free stuff that these booths gave you. Hell, I got a bunch of trial decks, not just from Konami, but Bandai with their 2 card games, and then the games that we got to play. Hell, I don't even think we got to try out games last year at Comic-Con, if I remember correctly. So all that already is a major step up for me. I have to second Nanners though. Even though they did improve on some things, they really messed up on some others. I agree with Nanners. Video Games New York and some of these other vendors shouldn't have been pushed all the way to the side. Like, I get, like, these big name companies are gonna get the main area, but the block was usually reserved for the smaller people. So the fact that Video Games New York was just shoved all the way to the side with that really, really boring PC/console quote-unquote arcade, I think was a really bad step. Not only that, the freaking PC and console arcade, quote-unquote, that Comic-Con brought back, I also think is a really bad way to do it. What needs to happen is they need to change it so that it's more open for people to go and see what's going on. Hell, set up a projector so people see what's happening in a fighting game or something like that. That would be a great idea. That would be an amazing idea. It would attract people to that area, give them a place to sit and enjoy a game while waiting for their next panel, or I don't know, trying to find a place to just sit down and think about what they're going to do next, or even eat a snack. Talking about arcades, Psychic Drive pulled through once again. I agree with you, Nanners. Those freaking Sega candy cabinets are amazing. Seeing your favorite Sound Voltex game there is also good. They had a scooter game there. They had the freaking Japanese drum game as well. They had Dance Dance Revolution. Psychic Drive knows what people want. So they bring the right games and people are able to play. Hey, I got to play a bunch of freaking Street Fighter 3, which was a lot of fun. However, Psychic Drive ended up getting shafted just like Video Games New York and the PC console gaming area got shafted because they got pushed to the other end of the convention center 2 floors down. And there wasn't much signage telling you that they were there. So if you missed it, you missed it completely because that area was pretty empty. They also had vendors there, vendors selling cards, dice, play mats and stuff like that. That didn't really get a lot of attention. And on Saturday, get this, Nanners, they had 2 voice actors down there. And they were voice actors from Yu-Gi-Oh! So the voice actor for Joey and the voice actor for Tristan were both there.
What?
I'm dead serious. I only knew about this because 2 of the people I was with for the One Piece card game trial told me, hey, they're down there and they're not getting much attention. So once I was done playing, I ran downstairs to meet the voice actor for Joey. By the time I got there, he was gone.
I'm sorry.
I felt like crap because I wanted to see him, but at least the voice actor for Tristan was there. So I spoke to him for like a minute or 2 and let him know that, hey, I'm a big fan. I wanted to meet the guy who voiced Joey. I hope he get attention. He had this huge ass Yu-Gi-Oh card because he also voiced the main character of a later series of Yu-Gi-Oh. And he was there just signing autographs and stuff like that. And there just weren't many people there. And it annoyed me because these are voice actors. They put a lot of heart and soul into making their art, which is their voice. They had a lot of this guy had this huge Yu-Gi-Oh card to sign. I know people would have gone for it if they had known he was there, but they just didn't do it. They didn't really let people know.
Yeah, and just to interject real quick, on that note, they also had voice actors by that video game area, and you just mentioned they had voice actors by the arcade downstairs. And I'm pretty sure there was another area where they had voice actors. So I felt like they really scattered the voice actor section. It wasn't just like one big area, but they were put in a couple of remote parts. And yeah, unfortunately, you got to miss something really cool. I would have loved to meet the voice actor for Joey as well.
Yeah, I felt frustrated for the vendors and the voice actors that were down there. I felt frustrated for them because I wouldn't want that for anyone. They're there trying to make a buck and meet their fans. There's nothing wrong with that. So the fact that they didn't get as much attention annoys me. Not only that, they did a similar thing that I hate when it comes to the board games and the other tabletop games that were down there with the arcade. They had it only open and you can just come in, ask for something and then play. That in itself is not a bad thing, but it makes it so that you can't meet new people. You have to go there with friends, and not everyone likes board games or card games. That's the issue. What these people need to do, Comic-Con and even Colossal Con East, because they made this mistake as well, is set up certain times and have a big ass sign that says, hey, if you want to come and play Catan with new people, come between these 2 hours, 1 and 3 o'clock. You can play with them and we'll have tables set aside for that. You want to go play Yu-Gi-Oh? We have this time as well, 3 to 5. We have tables set up over there for people to play Yu-Gi-Oh. You want to play the Pokemon card game? Same thing. Magic the Gathering? Same thing. They don't do that. So whenever it comes to people wanting to play card games or other board games, they basically tell you, hey, you want to play that? You don't have friends? Cool, sit down. If anybody shows up that wants to play, we'll send them your way. That's time wasted at a convention. A lot of these people go to panels. A lot of these people have to meet up with other friends, set up times. You have to do that. Comic-Con is not Colossal Con. They're huge. They should know this shit. And again, they dropped the ball on it. Now, I'm not saying that that Comic-Con was horrible. It wasn't. It was a major step up from last year. But they still fumbled in a lot of places. So when it comes to a verdict, I'm going to have to give them the same score I gave them last year, which is going to be 4.5 token cards out of 5.
Very nice.
I had a lot of fun. Nanners, we both had a lot of fun, as a matter of fact. I mean, holy crap. It actually felt like Comic-Con from like 2010 or 2011. It wasn't as huge back then. It was just big enough. It was a little bit more walkable. Maybe not as crazy as 2010 or 2011, but I still had a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that next year they just keep improving. because holy crap, I want to see Comic-Con become fun again.
Oh yeah, definitely. On that note, I mean that was the draw of getting a Thursday pass last year too, was that I wanted that 2010's Comic-Con experience, but I think right about now is when we're going to start to see that, because some of those bigger draws are coming in and it's going to start building up. It's almost like we're watching a rebirth of Comic-Con. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up. I'm definitely gonna go back next year because I wanna still see it be smaller, a little more humble, but have some good stuff to do there. I definitely got my money's worth with just a Thursday ticket, and maybe I'll even extend that to like another day next year. Who knows? We'll see.
I definitely recommend at least 2 days because I had a lot of fun Saturday as well.
Okay.
Thursday is definitely a go for me next year because it's just nice not having to deal with any extra people. You know that? Like, come on. You don't have to wait. Dude, we walked into One Piece Odyssey just to play it. On Saturday, the line actually went quite far. Same thing for the One Piece card game. The line extended far. So
Thursday's the money move. That's the smart. That's the 5-head strats. That's the best day to go for Comic-Con because there aren't going to be as many people, so you want to be there.
Indeed. Anyway, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you got something out of it.
That's right.
If you did, please make sure to slap that like button, mash the subscribe button, and Nanners, tell them what should they let us know down in the comments below.
They should let us know. We're curious to know if you guys went to New York Comic Con. Let us know in the comments below. Did you like it compared to last year? Did you like it compared to previous years? Did you have fun? Was there stuff for you to do that? We're certainly interested in knowing what your experience was, in addition to now that you've sat through our experience. And we also like to say, guys, check out DerpyCon. That's going to be the next con that we go to. We'll definitely be covering it. So highly recommend checking that one as well. We hope to see you there. We can't wait to make the video for that one as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video.
That's right. Be sure to stay tuned for more awesome content later on. See you next time, everyone.